What up, y'all? Brave New World is a 1931 science fiction novel written by Aldous Huxley. It's set about 500 years in the future where civilization has merged into one single superstate and is ruled by a council of world controllers. Science has eliminated illness and aging, and the happiness of everyone is ensured by these questionable means. So the question is, in a perfect world with no poverty, sickness, or sadness, what is society missing? The thing I found most interesting in Brave New World is its exploration of this question, specifically by presenting a dystopia where citizens are enslaved by pleasure rather than fear. In more popular dystopias, such as 1984, it's very obvious that the people are oppressed through its imagery and whatnot. But within Brave New World's booming metropolis, the dystopian aspects aren't so apparent, which I think makes it a much more efficient and sinister dystopia. And in some ways, we are already experiencing this pleasure dystopia in our current world. In this future, the concept of families is forbidden and no longer exists. Everyone is born out of a test tube and into a caste system from alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons. Epsilons are the slaves of society, and you'll think they'll be miserable doing slave work. Well, the book explains that lower caste individuals were purposely given birth defects so that their brains would find slave work enjoyable. By design, epsilons are guaranteed to keep society running perfectly. There's a sad moment where our main character who is unaccustomed to this world, tries to liberate a bunch of low caste people, and they get mad at him because they're like, what are you doing? Because in reality, doing so would just cause them suffering and pain. High castes, like alphas and betas, are your normal intellectuals, like human beings. So it requires a lot more finessing to keep these guys in check. So everyone is sleep conditioned since birth so that they will believe certain morals until they die. Throughout the rest of their lives, society works to guarantee all of their biological drives, like sex. Everyone has sex with whoever and whenever they want, and there's a motto that goes around saying, everyone belongs to everyone. You can travel wherever you want in the world in like 15 minutes by helicopter. The entertainment utilizes all of your senses, it's like VR, it's crazy stuff. If for some reason you're having trouble being happy, you still got yourself the best government-sponsored drug called Soma. Soma is this crazy hallucinogen with no side effects. You take a gram, you can take a fantastical holiday to wherever your mind desires, and you can forget your problems. Even in the rare case that a large group of people are unhappy, aka causing a riot, police would come and water cannon Soma into the air, and everyone would just stop being mad and hug and kiss, and it's all kumbaya. And I think it's scary if the government can just chemically make you happy without your consent. Overall, I guess if everyone is biologically satisfied without death and sadness, and conditioned to be content with their caste, humans are reduced to biological machines. There's no strong drive in any individuals, which inspires change in society for better or worse. Society will never experience new discoveries or new cultural movements. Humanity maybe becomes one of those jar terrariums that is self-sustaining for 12 years. So is this peak civilization, and is it even something we want to reach? Brave New World's pleasure dystopia is also very interesting considering this was written in the 1930s, since it's becoming more and more relevant today with new technologies exploiting our instant gratification brains. I made this correlation myself, but this video explores this topic better than I ever can. Our tendency to refresh social media, to procrastinate, porn, instant food delivery, and all this accessible pleasure jazz is kind of like how Soma works to tranquilize ourselves from our problems. Also, the elite using consumerism to squash social revolution.
Are y'all out of y'all goddamn minds?
Hi, welcome to H&M.
For 400 years, we have been oppressed. And y'all gonna pull some shit like this? I want this whole motherfucking place shut down. Justice for that coolest monkey boy in the shirt. Is that sweater really $30?
Yes, sir.
Is kind of like how the Brave New World government gives out free soma when people are getting mad over something just to maintain the status quo. The problem that made them mad is still there, but the people just temporarily forgot about it, you know? The main protagonists recognize that indulging in these instant gratifications prevents them from reaching some greatness that they desire, but no one else understands them, so there's always room where characters are arguing about philosophy. You can argue that these points aren't special since there's a ton of like nofap and self-improvement content out there, but I remind myself this was written in the 1930s and it's packaged with a really cool future society, so good on you, Aldous Huxley. Plot-wise, Wikipedia can explain the plot better than I ever can. I personally feel that it's not the most emotionally riveting story. With a few exceptions, the character interactions just feel off, mostly because it's 1930s dialogue, and there's only so much strong language you can use to express emotion. There are many times the characters sounded like they're in a Shakespearean play, which can be unintentionally funny. So, the main protagonist changes from Bernard, this angsty alpha man, to John the Savage, a naturally born man from an alpha father and a beta mother. It's a long story, but anyways, he was raised in a Christian Native American tribe, which is like outside of civilization, who is entering civilization for the first time. Long story short, he had a really bad culture shock, and he cannot stand civilized culture. And after a series of dramas, he, along with our other protagonists, are arrested and sent to the most powerful world controller, Mustafa Mond. And here, a very philosophical debate about purpose, true happiness, stability, and meaning unfolds, with both sides having some very valid points. This was one of my favorite part of the book. Yeah, it was a really good read. And Savage asks many good questions. For example, why can't you make everyone alphas so no one is stupid? And Mustafa Mond explains that they did do that, and all it ended up was riots and civil war because no one wanted to do the slave work and everyone wanted like higher pay or something like that. Which would never happen if we had genetically engineered people who enjoy doing slave work like the Epsilons, which means you're wrong, Mr. Savage. Mustafa Mond's main point is that once this society is in place with its gene editing, designed humans, all this other stuff, then the best method to stabilize society is to treat everyone as biological machines and ensure that the ideas of overcoming hardships from like old books or whatever are not allowed because hardships no longer exist in this world anymore. It's not a fundamentally evil decision to uphold this system because logically it's the only way to ensure everyone's happiness and the survival of humanity. Because if you just free the low-caste people, you're going to have some chaos. Like, they've been genetically designed to not do anything else. It's going to be tragic. Savage argues that at least some difficulty, challenge, unhappiness, and opposition is necessary for a life that is truly human. A child that is given everything that they want and is never told no is going to be spoiled into a horrible monster. And the citizens have become so spoiled that they've become subhuman. I just want to talk about some highlights in the book. The side character, Helmholtz Watson, he's an accomplished writer who was born to alpha. He gets so much P-word that he has to refuse sexual advances because it distracts him from writing something that he thinks is truly meaningful. Also, he's a real bro. When Savage tries to liberate the low-level castes, which is something that Helmholtz believes in, no questions asked, he sacrifices his entire reputation by jumping in and helping Savage in the punch-on. Like, that's some bro stuff, man. Not to end on a negative note, but the female characters make me roll my eyes a little bit. Lelina is the main love interest, who is so attractive she gets to have sex with anyone. Except she can't seem to seduce Mr. Savage, even though he likes her, which drives her crazy. And her entire character arc is basically trying to have sex with Mr. Savage, which, but the unexpected highlight in the book is when she's had enough. She traps Mr. Savage in his apartment, and starts stripping in front of him, and he couldn't take it, so he slaps her and calls her a whore, impudent strump. And I thought it was really funny. Violence against women is not funny. What was funny was the ultra-specific words he used to call her a hoe, and also the fact that afterwards he's just pacing back and forth, quoting Othello after slapping a woman. I don't think it's meant to be funny, but... Anyways, I recommend this book. The world building by itself is worth the read. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Read it, it's good.